Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Kingdom of Kodiak. I'm Kodiak. With me today, Dame Cat of the Burning Lands. How are you doing?
I am very good.
That's
Thank you.
excellent to hear. Thank you. I just got a little insight into your work, that you are an assistant principal and as a new teacher. Thank you. Um, it's a lot of work at this point in time, but it's not about that. Let's get to the bare necessities. Sorry, Sin. Uh, would like to know, how long have you been playing Amtgard?
Well, I started playing Amtgard in 89, 90. So it's been a long time, but I took a quite a long hiatus in between. So I took off, I think, 16 years? About 16 years. I had a daughter and did the mom thing, focused on that.
All right. And can you tell us a little bit about the persona of Cat?
Well, what's funny is I started with a persona and did a little bit of the role-playing thing. I really liked playing monster, but Cat is actually part of my name, my mundane name, and my Amtgard name never took off. So it never really got, so I've just always been Cat. And so kind of when I moved from Golden Plains to Burning Lands, I just got more into the service side of it and less the play side of it. So,
okay. All right. Just for anyone who's watching and maybe trivia at some point at GOTC, what was your actual Amtgard name?
Well, I went through a few. Katya was one. And like I said, it got shortened to Cat. Tried Bianca, tried a few things, but nothing would ever stick, which is okay. Everyone was a small group and started at college. So it just Cat stuck.
I like that. For anyone who's doing Burning Lands events at GOTC, if you don't have a trivia question now with it, you're wasting an opportunity here. So what award or achievement do you feel most proud of receiving?
I am very proud of my Duchess title because it came from being Queen of the Burning Lands, and that meant a lot to me. I was very proud to be the Queen of the Burning Lands. I'm proud of the Knight's belts that I've received, but I never really expected any of them. I was honored to be knighted all 3 times. They were all ninja knightings, so I wasn't expecting any of them. So that was really great. But I think I'm proudest of the things that I got because of the things that I've done for the club. The things I did for the club.
Fantastic. We are going to dive a little bit in, well, not a little bit into, we're going to dive a lot into your night belts here later, but you know, we're not even through the bare necessities yet. Let's get back to them. What would you say is your favorite battle game?
My favorite battle game would be battle games that involve monsters. I like the twist that they add. I like the unexpected. I played Dryad quite a bit back in the day. I did do fighting. It's been a long time, but I like the aspect that the monsters bring to those battle games. So really, there are so many different forms you can take, but it's the unexpected. I like the things that are unexpected.
That's great. No, I like that. You did mention Dryad, but if you had to pick from one of the classes, what class would you say is your favorite?
Oh, so I tried Warrior. I wasn't very good at it. I tried archery a bit. So the fighting classes, I kind of bounced around here and there, but I moved, like I said, way more over to the support type, creating the clothing, creating artwork for the club, running events. So I did some of the fighting, but I really quickly moved over to the things I enjoyed more.
Okay. And much like your knighthoods, we're going to talk about your gambit as far as the arts and sciences and service to the game goes. but we're still not quite there. When you're playing battle games, what is your favorite loadout?
Um,
Sword and board, Florentine, dagger and a flail, spear.
for me, I was lucky if I did okay with the sword.
Okay.
I am so I may have so Rob jokes that between the four of us we're a four-belted knight, but between the two of us, but fighting was really never something I was good at.
Okay.
I had fun. I had some great lessons from some great people, but I just didn't have the what it takes to be good at that.
Okay. Sure. It is interesting that Sir Tristan would need you to to finish the
Yeah,
quartet.
yeah, he much so deserves probably all of them that I have, plus the one he did. So
Ah,
he's amazing.
he- I think we can all agree with that. Well, those are the bare necessities. Sorry, Sin. There's been 3 questions KOK viewers have been asking since episode 1, and as a point of reference, if this is your first episode, this is episode 71. So,
Oh, excellent.
yeah, 70 weeks of content, or 69 in a row, 71 total. Sir Glenoff wanted a toaster a long time ago in KOK land, and he got a toaster. Sir Alucard, I believe in him. He followed through. There's a toaster given to Sir Glenoff. But what do you think about him getting a soda maker?
For
Sir Glenoff.
okay, it sounds. What exactly is a soda maker? Just a real soda maker? Or is it an award, or is it?
Oh, so I would assume it's the thing that you put water and carbonated and flavor together and you can make
Oh, okay.
soda. But
And he wants it.
I, that's Dave Cat. This is the interesting thing about KOK. I don't know if he actually wants it at all.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
it
Well, then
was
I
just
say if someone thinks he wants it, he should get it.
There we go. There we go. We don't know if he actually wants it, but if someone wants to get Sir Glenoff the soda maker, Dame Cat says it's okay. Still, I would like to know what's your thoughts on bears?
On bears, as in the woods that used to come and eat our food and carry off our coolers, or is there another term that we're looking for?
I'm sure Redbeard of Dragonspine Las Cruces would tell you there's multiple different versions of the term bear, but however you want to interpret that.
Oh, well, I always loved the clans where we would wake up in the mornings and find the coolers strung across the battle area because someone had forgotten to tie up their food. The clans where the bears broke into cars, pulled tents off they would take the whole tent with them. So it was always exciting. That was always exciting to have those bears around. And
Okay.
I'm sure the other bears are just as exciting too.
Well, Eliza Joy would like to know who or what is your favorite bear?
My favorite bear, Yogi.
Yogi. That's a very common answer. All right. So there's been a joke, but that might not be so much of a joke anymore. But Dragonspine's considering getting a mobile pool and or jacuzzi. How do you feel about that?
I think movable parties are always a good thing.
Okay. How would you fund it to get the pool or jacuzzi?
Well, you could always start with a raffle and raffle something off. You could have get a dunking tank set up and pull in some of the more ornery knights and get them in there and have people pay to dunk them. Or pie in the face. We used to do that one. We used to do pie in the face for fundraisers. So
Okay. All right. Dave Cat, you're giving legitimate answers, and typically I get answers of make Males of Dragonspine's calendar.
hey, there we go.
Sure. But raffles and PG. is the way that this should go. All right.
Unfortunately, I'm not the one for the funny answers. You should go to the other half of this relationship for that.
Well, we're going to get some funny ones out of you later, or super serious, depending on how you look at them. But those were the 3 questions KOK viewers have been asking since episode 1. Let's get to some content.
Okay.
I like starting off with this question now. What is your weirdest flex?
My weirdest flex. I came in second to an Olympiad to my night. That was an odd one. I flex. I guess I really just don't talk much about myself really. So I don't really
Yeah.
I wouldn't really know. I warned you, I'm not an exciting interview.
Yeah, for anyone who doesn't know how long it took to get Dame Cat on KOK, I have been asking, I think I asked her Tristan to ask you months ago, and it was not until you came to the Pegasus Valley invasion of Dragon's Spine Las Cruces where I cornered you.
And I couldn't say no.
And you couldn't say no. But it happened. So now let's at weirdest flex. That's fine. Come in second place to your night.
Well, I am the only person known in Amtgard to have broken up a mashed potato wrestling. So I mean, if we're going somewhere, that was one.
All right. All right. Yes, that would be a weird flex. That okay. I'm gonna throw some numbers out and I'm gonna ask the word how after. And I'm sure you're going to be able to give me the insight without me giving you too much more detail. So I'm going to say the number 42, and I'm going to say how.
Life and everything.
Yeah. What if I put the word dragons after the word 42?
Oh, actually, that number's wrong.
Do tell?
It was in the 50s. But when my records got brought over, not all of them were transferred over. So I was in, I think it was 52, 53 when I finally got knighted. So you're talking about the dragons I earned through all of the arts competitions. Yes. And yeah. But the other answer is more fun.
Well, if 42 was the right answer, I guess, then yes, your answer would be more fun. Can you explain how you do so much work in the arts and sciences where 42, that's if you got one every reign. Well, and Borderlands is a year-long reign too, though, right?
Not anymore. It used to be a 6-month reign.
Okay, so that would be 26 years of single dragons.
Well, you have to keep in mind that when we first started playing, you could, through the reign, have multiple art competitions. I used to make the garb for entire courts. So we would have guard tunics for the entire court. We would go through and we would do cooking competitions during the reign. We would do vintner competitions. We would run all sorts of things. And so the system you have now is it limits the way that awards are given. When I first started playing, remember it was late 80s, early 90s, it was really a different environment. And so if I traveled to Burning Land and they really liked a outfit I was wearing or something that we had made stained glass or banners, the kingdom there would, gift out a dragon or so it was a very different system because we didn't have the ladder system that's in place now. So it was a little bit more just open, and those awards didn't necessarily lead to knighthoods. So I got a ton of roses. We've got lions and we've got all these different things. but they weren't necessarily the pathway to something.
Okay.
So it was an appreciation. It was, you did a great job. And so it's just a different way of thinking of things. But I did join every time there was an art competition, just because we wanted to make sure there were enough people involved. Back then, we had a lot of people fighting. We had a lot of people involved in that side. The arts weren't as, weren't as promoted at that time, because fighting was really the focus.
Okay. So I mean, let's put this in a not hindsight, but let's put this into the focus here. How many of these dragons have you received since you came back to the game?
I have not received a dragon since I came back to the game.
Oh, so all 50 plus of them were 16 years ago. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, speaking of 16, I did want to bring up 16 roses. That again, just I know Flame Knights and Dragonspine who are just now getting their 10 plus, their plus 10 award. That's incredible as well. But I would assume similar story here, or have you earned any of those since you've come back?
I actually, the awards that I've earned since I've come back, I received my crown belt. And I think that's it.
Okay.
Because, once you're already a knight, most people don't think in terms of giving out another dragon or giving out, because, they think you're already there. And I never really counted my awards or really paid attention to them much, because that wasn't the reason why I was involved in any of it. That's
Sure.
not what gave me my joy. So like I said, I was honored, but I never expected. I played the game 9 years, almost 10 before I got knighted. Well, yeah, 9 years before I got knighted. It was never on my wish list even. So it was a great honor. It was a big surprise because it happened at one of the clans I was running. So it was just one of those things. I never really paid attention to the awards because they were nice frosting, but they weren't the meat of it. They weren't the important part to me.
I also like how you frost your meat. That's a good.
Thank you. Potatoes to that.
Yeah, thank you for that. Still, I would like to know give us the gambit here of what is your arts and science? What do you do in the arts and science? Or maybe the better question is, what don't you do?
Well, I have done stained glass. I've done needlework. I do a lot of garbing. I make a lot of costumes. I've worked with painting, but I never really was all that good at it, but it was fun. Chainmail, made chainmail for a while. Did the whole chainmail bikini and skirt thing for Worldcon one year. Made wings, just all sorts of stuff. A lot of I did calligraphy for a while, made awards. I do a lot of cooking, which I consider an art. It's a science and an art, but so it just kind of all over the place. Like I said, I just enjoy it. It's relaxing to be able to sit down and create something out of nothing. And so for me, it's an enjoyable thing.
Awesome. I guess I gotta ask, given your talent, your skill, the chat is giving you a whole bunch of praise for it. Do you take commissions? Are you looking for commissions, or?
I've never done that. Hold on one second. I'm getting a huge glare from the light. Robert, can you pull the curtain across, because I'm
too busy making me garb.
Yeah, I'm too busy making Tristan garb.
Fair.
So I tend to make gifts for people when I want to just share the joy. But it's not, commissions isn't something I've ever really been. I want to make what moves me. I'm not really good at following other people's wants. And so I'm much better at I want to sit down and do something interesting for me. God, that sounds selfish. I just, I haven't, that is something new to Amp Guard since, like I said, it really didn't work. So like someone would come to me and say, I don't have any garb. Can you help me? And I was always more than welcome to, are very happy to help. We would have garber parties at my apartment where I would set up my sewing machines, and we would teach people how to do facings, and by the end people would have a tunic. And so it's always
Nice.
been more about teaching rather than doing for someone else, that kind of thing.
Okay. All right. Okay. I mean, I'm envious of Sir Tristan now because he just gets to have. That's cool. I'm not asking. Whatever. No big deal. So, speaking of art, there's a question here about what is your creative process? How do you get to inspiration? And we asked this of Mario Constantine when he came on, right? And
Yeah, but
he's
he's
very
a real artist.
well.
He
I
is.
bet I bet he would say the same of you, though.
um I tend to have, normally when I'm talking about garb, it's an idea for just what I want the outcome to be, and then I draw it. I think about it. I go film material. So I go to Rio Bravo Piece Goods a lot and just walk around and feel the material, very tactile. And then you just kind of put it together in your head. I'm not great with patterns.
Okay.
I have done some work with patterns, the dress and the way back when, for a quadricentennial celebration for El Paso, Amp Guard was center stage. So I made a doublet dress and made doublets for the guard, and that was all patterned. So, but it's one of those things that you just kind of play with it, see where it goes. I got an embroidery machine, so I've been playing around with embroidery and, you know, seeing how that feels and what it looks like. And I love doing applique work. That was always my favorite, was doing the applique work. So it's kind of free flowing, and it's really based on if I have time,
Sure.
because at my, you know, being a mom and being an educator as you are, your time is taken up a lot. So AMCARD is my play. And so when I have time to play, I really enjoy it, but I don't get as much time for the play as I used to.
That's fair. That's fair. Okay. All right. It must be something in the water in the burning lands where, you know, inspiration just flows. It just finds people instead of, you know, spending, you know, an hour on a project like this and like having to focus. But, you know, we'll move on. Lightning would like to know, what is your favorite piece of garb that you own?
My favorite piece of garb, well, I like this one that I have on. I played with my embroidery machine, and so I made it, and I made a matching. Actually, what happened was Ahira wanted a guard, his court, to have matching tunics.
Mhm.
And so he created the design, and I made a few of them for him. And I told him the price was, I got some of the material so I could make myself something. So Rob and I got matching, Tristan and I got matching garb because I had a tax on the cloth. So, and I loved the color, the blue. So I really like this one. I love my quadricentennial dress, but it's in, you know, the closet because I was a much younger, thinner person back then. I love my claw tunic. I did all the application knot work on the bottom, and it was about 40 hours worth of applique. So it's just, everything that I make, I like something about it, or so
Mhm.
I love the process. I like a lot of the stuff that I made for Rob more than the stuff I make for myself. His lion tunic is one of my favorites
Yeah.
with the knot work on the bottom. I like his guard tunic that I made him for when he was in the guard with the Hera. So yeah. I just
Awesome.
like fun.
Okay. Well, you've already said that you like the garb that you make for other people, but let's get your eye on garb that you had nothing to do with. What is the coolest garb you've ever seen?
Okay, so there are a lot of amazing artists out there making garb now. When I first started playing Amtgard, though, Tani, who was the first monarch of the Burning Lands, the first monarch of Amtgard, she would come out in these extremely form-fitting, beautiful, flowing tunics with these dragons, these huge golden dragons, and her company was the Golden Dragons. And so she'd have these beautiful golden dragons on it, and she'd do lame and all this stuff. My Knight, she was probably one of the best seamstresses I have ever come across. And she made this amazing claw tunic for me. And it's got cord making a cross on it, and it's all whipped cord stitched down. And so you can't see the beginning or the end of where the cording's at
Huh.
because of the way she put it together. So the garb now, I've seen pictures of these amazing, beautiful, like tapestry garb that's been created. So there's so much beautiful stuff out there. When I look at the pictures, I'm in awe because I don't think I could do half as well as these people are doing. It's beautiful work.
Man, it must be a KOK tradition that we can't get people to come on that are aware of how awesome they are. It's it's got to be what it is. That's fine. That's fine. Also, I like going through the training of being a teacher. I heard a lot of that positive for everyone else, and yeah, that was not sorry.
The difference between the way garb is now and the way garb is when I started, you would see people out on the field with bath mats as armor. And it was just the way it was. It was amazing they had armor out there. They were fighting with these huge weapons that they would bend and not bend back because they had rebar on the inside. Exactly that face. So the evolution of the art that people do in the clothing and the expression, it's beautiful. One of the things that I loved when we had the last event here at Burning Lands just recently in May, we had Tani come out, and she brought out all of this historic garb and documents and all of these things. And so it was so wonderful to see the old beside the new. See because everyone was wearing their best of the best. We hadn't had an event in forever. So you saw all these people out in this really sharp garb and looking at it. It's just a beautiful evolution of materials and ability. And so yeah, it's great to see.
Awesome. Awesome. Damon O'Blee would like to know, you don't have to tell us exactly what you're doing, but maybe just the medium of what you're using. But do you have any new ANS ideas?
Well, actually, I have a lot of ideas, but it's still towards the garb area. I want to pick up my stained glass again. I'm looking for a provider for the glass. My provider closed, so it's to get bigger pieces of glass. I'm actually interested in the Tristan's been introducing me to the acid etching on metal, and I can see applications in that towards both the stained glass and doing a piece around a metal piece and kind of intertwining those two mediums. I've been looking at picking up some jewelry making and going towards I've kind of got a Nordic vibe lately that I've been interested with the art, with the pieces. So it's kind of intertwining things. And so I have a lot of things in sketchbooks and I get to come back to ideas. Right now I have a few pieces that I'm working on very slowly. Sorry, Dak. I've got a tunic I'm working on for Dakota, but I just been really short on time. So at some point she'll get it, hopefully.
Okay, that's good. Still, I would like to know a little off of the art, but still art in itself. Can you tell us a little bit about your personal heraldry?
Okay, so weirdly enough, I did not actually get my personal heraldry until I returned to Amgard. I had
Okay.
had, cats. I've had been gifted cats forever. When Ahira had my knighting scroll made, Joella, a friend of mine who she plays SCA primarily now,
Mhm.
but she used to crossplay in Amgard. She was one of the first players in Amgard. What was that?
She was the first champion of the Burning
Oh,
Lands.
she was the first champion of the Burning Lands. She created my heraldry. And so my heraldry is a red cat, a sideways view, a crown around the neck, a shield with ermine, and then the dragon claw, because I'm Claw. That's my company, a dragon claw holding the shield. So it was a gift. So my personal heraldry was a gift to me.
Oh, that's fantastic. Oh, I love that. That's so good. That should be more of a thing. It really should.
It.
I think it's a great idea.
I have no problem at all coming up with ideas for other people. I have never had a problem coming up with ideas. I've never really been great about coming up ideas for myself. And that goes to my persona. That goes to, because I never really developed one, because it's just, I'm not as creative as so many of these people that can come up with these in-depth stories about themselves. And I love listening to some of the stories and the way they built their characters over years. I wish I had that passion. I don't have that kind of imagination. So the fact that someone gifted me something like that meant so much to me, because I've never really received those kind of gifts. So it really meant a lot to me.
That's awesome. I like that. I mean, I guess I have to put the challenge out there to the Burning Lands to find a way to get Dame Cat into the RP side of it. Kato, calling you, man. That's if anyone's gonna do it. My suggestion is, so, and again, not about me, but doing journal entries as your persona and just starting with that little evolution where you give yourself 4 sentences where you're like, I just want to be in character for 4 sentences, and then it becomes 8 sentences, and all of a sudden you're writing pages at a qual or a mid-reign event. You're just turning in these. It works for me. I don't know, not about me, but
well, I have to say I'm much better at chemical formulas than I am at, writing my thoughts out. So
there you go. Oh, that would be fun though. Writing a chemical formula that like it told a story, but you have to be able to read the formula to be able to do it.
That's
yes. Big brain thinking over here. Anyways, Cassia would like to know, this is a number. We just need a number from you, and it's not 42 and it's not 16. What is your current sewing machine count?
Okay, I feel attacked. Are we talking just sewing machines? Are we going to include the embroidery machines and the sergers?
Yes. Yes, we're including all of them. Yeah.
Can I just count the ones out of the boxes?
Yes.
Okay, so 9.
9. Okay, Cassio, I can see why you asked the question. Also, we should thank Cassio for cross streaming the KOK episode today. Thank you. I reached out.
Thank you, Cassie.
Yeah, happened immediately.
That question was uncalled for. Now you're calling me out here.
So there's 9 outside of a box, but that means that there's more than 9 that exist in that house.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Kato has had a question that has been traditionally asked on KOK. And you have experienced the fighting world. So I feel confident that you're going to give the answer that Cato wants to hear. Back shields for version 9 of AmpGuard. Would you say yes or no?
Tristan says no.
Back shield, so like a turtle?
Yes, precisely like a turtle.
I find that odd, but I'm not out there battling. But I would have to say that's kind of weird. So
You've met Cato, right?
yes, I've met
Weird,
Cato.
weird isn't a word that would. No, I love you, Cato. I love you.
All of us.
Yeah.
We are all weird together. I can't imagine a bunch of turtles running around effectively on the field. So I'm going to go with no on that one.
There we go, Cato. I mean, it was never meant to happen. Turtles running, that in itself. So the carryover question from Cato that goes with his back shield question is to flurb or not to flurb.
Oh, I love the flurbs of AmpGuard. I love the flurbs. I love the color that they bring. I love the excitement that they bring. I'm not a good flurb, but there are some amazing flurbs out there.
There are. Shout out to next week's guest, Kriv. If we want to talk about flurbs, Pegasus Valley member. Can't wait. But maybe what we get is we get Kriv to come to Burning Lands and teach Dame Cat the finer qualities of RP. Yeah. Make worlds collide. It'll be fantastic. Cassie would also like to know, what is your most memorable feast that you've attended or made?
Oh, so the most memorable feast I made wasn't actually an AmpGuard feast. It was an SCA feast when I was 3 months pregnant. And I was green the whole time. Food turned out great, but I was not feeling my best. So that's the most memorable. One of the best feasts that I've ever been at was a AmpGuard feast that was up in Iron Mountains. We had gone up there and they had gone all out. There were different courses. It was just all laid out like a king's, table. It was just beautiful. And so for me, the feast part, the food is always, you always want to have good food, but it's all about the presentation, the banners, the table, the having the place settings and it being beautiful, because it's all about, that. So like when I set up the different rooms, we always do these huge banners and have all these areas covered in banners because you want it to pull people in. So I love that about feast. I've been at some feasts that were crazy weird, which is always fun. Whether the food's good or not, the crazy weird stuff is always fun. So as long as we have great feasts and no one gets sick from them, I'm always happy. Oh, cooking at Clan. We ran a tavern, and so we were the tavern winches. There were 3 of us, and we had winch outfits, and we made burritos for everyone in the morning, and we had lunch. So that kind of stuff. It was always fun.
Okay, awesome. Morgan has a question. Morgan would like to know, what's your favorite AmpGuard event?
My favorite AmpGuard event. I always loved Gathering of Clans, always. It was one of my first events in AmpGuard. I love the fact that it started as Morlock's birthday and grew into this huge, amazing event where we had, more people than were ever signed in. And so I've always loved that one. I always loved Arrakis when we would go up to the Iron Mountains. That was always great. Just any of the events where we would get together. But yeah, Clan was always my favorite.
Okay.
Except when I was running it.
That's fair. Kenjin would like to know, what does your perfect AmpGuard event look like?
My perfect AmpGuard event. Oh, y'all have some hard questions.
This is KOK.
I'm not running. So no, I think it's everyone having a good time.
Mhm.
keeping the drama away from it.
Mhm.
Um, it being relaxed and keeping that fun aspect without getting drawn into the drama. I'm not a big drama person, so when people get angry about the little things, we have so little time that we
Mhm.
get together and actually spend together. I think it's important for us to relax and enjoy and keep animosities at bay.
You couldn't. That's the best way you could have said it. That's fantastic. Um, so that is the first section of the questions. There's three more because you're very popular. People had many questions they wanted to ask you. Um, oh, I don't know what we're going to talk about. Everything.
I still don't know what we're going to talk about, but you keep bringing it.
Okay. Damon Ubley would like to know, were you excited to start playing in person again?
Yes, yes. I found it fascinating how easily people were able to move over to the virtual world and be comfortable with it. We had some wonderful get-togethers where we were just hanging out
Mhm.
and everyone was drinking a beverage of their choice and we were hanging out in the burning lands. But I am not a people person the way Tristan is, but I found I missed that interaction. I missed the friendships. I missed because we hadn't been back, I think what we had been back 2 years when the pandemic hit.
Mhm.
So I had just been building friendships. And
Mhm.
for me, sometimes it's hard to really get to know people. I am once I know you, it's amazing, but I'm a slow mover.
Sure.
And so really building friendships and then we're cut off.
Yeah.
And rebuilding friendships that I had lost track of the people and being able to see them at events and the people from Golden Plains that basically I grew up with because I started Amp Guard in college there, but that getting to see everyone again, my very first clan back, walking down onto the field, and I hear from across the field Dakota yells, "It's Cat!" And it just made me feel so at home. And then being cut off from that was difficult. So it was wonderful getting to go back out and play again. It was amazing getting to plan an event.
Mhm.
The very first event we had coming back now, was I stressed? Yes, very stressed.
Mhm.
But it was so great that so many people came. And then we had a news crew that came out and did a session on us. And it was a wonderful feeling. And so I love the fact that we're back out.
Yeah, for
And I
sure.
know I rambled and I'm sorry, but it brings a lot of things to mind.
No, absolutely. And if you didn't get a chance to go to that event, I mean, I did. Huh. It was awesome. You guys are always wonderful hosts, and it's worth the hour drive for sure. Um, Paul, sorry, Paul, we've never met. I don't know your amp guard name. Would like to know, have you ever thought about quitting?
I did quit. I took a 17 or 16 or 17-year hiatus. I'd have to actually go look at the calendar. Um, I I had come off of running a clan with my ex for 2 years, and it was the clans turned out great. It was wonderful. Just kind of burnt out.
Mhm.
So some other inner dynamics with the groups and just kind of needed a break, and so I went cross played with the SCA and then met a certain person, and we had a beautiful child, and so my focus changed. And so I know there are some amazing people out there that can keep all of those things going at once, but with my profession and with my child, I took a break.
Yeah.
I took a break.
I I want to make a joke about Tristan knowing about the beautiful person, but he is a beautiful man, so I can't even make a joke. It's not fair. Ah, I only hope to look like him when I'm his age. Anyways, which isn't that far off, Tristan, by the way. Um, uh, so Shroud Star asked this question, I don't know, 20 episodes ago, and it's a beautiful question. if you like to dive into what AmpGuard is. And I do, so I'm going to ask you.
Okay.
If you could create a letter award in AmpGuard right now, what would you call it and what would it be for?
A ladder award.
Yep.
I don't know that I'd want to create something separate. I'd like to see something come back for sure. I'd love to see the griffin be part of the sword, simply because in my mind that was always such an important part. I like the fact that they brought the battle mastery part in, but to me that was always part of the fighting, that you have to have the logistical mind, that you have to be able to see what's going on. So but the griffin to me is such an integral part of the honor of the fighting, that I would love to see that put back in as part of a ladder system. I find it interesting that some of the wards have kind of gone to the side. So I had a master artisan, which isn't actually a thing anymore. So, so it's interesting to me the things that have lasted and evolved into something different. So I would like to see some of those people who, like, I love the mask. I love that role-playing aspect, but I don't think it's put out there enough. I don't think there are enough people that, although I think it can only be awarded once a reign, so that makes it hard to put it out there, the Jovius, those kind of things. So but remember, I'm looking from an old point of view because I'm old, so.
I agree. If anyone, the people that watch the COM meeting, a lot of the conversation when talking about bringing in this fifth belt that ended up becoming a reality was a discussion of, hey, we could bring griffins back, and this would be a way of making sword a more obtainable thing. And then when the conversation about changing the orders of the warrior came up, that came back up again, where I was like, hey, we could bring griffins back and make it, so I think you're spot on. It has to, at some point it will have to come back, right? Like,
well, I think in each of the knighthoods we have, there are multiple pathways to get to the end result. But that's not an aspect of that one knighthood. There's a single path, and I like the multiple pathway because it doesn't cut off opportunities.
Yeah. So griffins for sword knight and mask for battle knight, and we're two paths for everyone, right? There we go. I'll stand on some podium later and try to get that passed. We'll talk about the paladin anti-paladin question here shortly, but I know that that's contentious, especially in that household. But we'll get to it. So the next question that goes along with the letter award one is, if you could change a rule in AmpGuard right now, what would you change?
Something new since I came back is the banning process. And so what I would like to see, and I know they're talking about it slowly, I would like to see a way to redeem yourself, and it to be not just one group's does it this way, one group does it this way. I really believe in redemption. And if there's no path to redemption, we can lose people that could show a better side of themselves. So I would like to see some changes in the way that that it's set. For some kingdom, it's a final decision. There's not a way to redeem yourself. So if there was one rule that I would really want to be looked at, that would be it. And maybe also a little bit the way that the ladder system is set up. I think it tends to limit some, so that sufficient competition phrase for a lot of things. If you don't have an active artisan in your group, it's very hard to get that sufficient competition. So just look at those little things.
So to that point though, I am making a push for Dragon Spine. I offer anyone who listens to this video do the same thing. Queen Stillhead is backing it. Sufficient competition. If you're the best person in the tournament, but you're not the best person in your kingdom, you still deserve the award if you win that tournament. Like the sufficient, you want to know who the sufficient competition is? Yourself.
And well, and you know, I understand the reason they went towards kind of the standardization the way that they did, and I can look at it and kind of see where they were going with it, because every
Mhm,
kingdom has different standards, everybody has different standards.
mhm,
But I think, like, what was I reading? There was one of them when I was reading the letter awards. It said that an example for a 10th would be creating the garb for the court, for like the guard. And if you've never done something like that, that is a huge,
mhm,
expensive endeavor. So being someone who enjoys sewing for small group, like their friends, never being able to get to that point of putting in the money or the time, because I have done many of those, you know, because that's what we used to do. We used to
mhm,
have,
mhm.
you know, and we would get together, but that's to me, that was a very extreme, that can be your 10th. That just seemed that, but that's just because I had done it so many times. I thought that would be overwhelming for someone
For sure.
who's slowly getting up there. And I can't think of any other examples right off the top of my head, but that one jumped out at me and I was like, oh, that's yeah. Or having to run an event, that being something that's required to be able to move up and receive, you know,
Mm,
I
okay.
think I think running an event because your heart's in it and you're excited to do it. And I've had those where I was so excited to help and so worn out at the end. Having that passion to do it is different than having to do it.
Mm, mm,
So I
okay.
think sometimes, yeah. So
I see. I want to say I agree with you, but I know that when we get to the point of talking about Crown, then the conversation is not being in Kingdom Office. And I am a big proponent that if you want to master Crown, you have to have worked for the kingdom at some point.
and I agree with you, but
Oh, good.
there are many ways to work for the kingdom.
Yes, there
There
is.
are many ways to support your kingdom.
Mhm,
And I know this isn't going to be like the popular opinion, but I think the two belts that are the most important to me are my flame and my crown.
mhm,
I mean, the art stuff, that's a selfish that I did it because I enjoyed doing it.
mhm,
The flame belt and the crown belt I did by doing something for the club.
mhm,
So those two belts to me, and I've heard it all. I've heard, you know, that, you know, you just get a crown on your head and move on. That's your time, your energy.
mhm,
And without those people willing to stand up and do service in that way, you don't have a club. You
mhm,
can have a bunch of people running around. You can have all the amazing artists in the world doing beautiful, beautiful things. But if you don't also have people putting together the event so they can show off their artwork, you know, we are a club based on service. We are a club based on people willing to give their, you know, emotions, their blood, their sweat, their tears to the club. That I think those belts deserve more honor than they sometimes receive.
awesome. No, I couldn't agree with you more on that on that conversation. And I'm actually going to ask you a question once we get into the knighthood
Okay.
about your belts. We're not quite there yet. A couple questions away from knighthood. So this I'm going to give you an option. This is a KOK first. I'm going to give you two questions. I'm going to
Ooh,
let you
I get
pick
to be
one
the
of them.
first.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Um, you can give me your top five up and comers in the entire game, or you can give me your top five up and comers in the Burning Lands.
Okay, so I wouldn't want to leave anyone out, but I'm more familiar with the Burning Lands,
Okay.
uh, simply because I've done a little bit of traveling, but I haven't gotten to do as much traveling as I used to. Uh, so let's see. Definitely Casio.
Mhm, mhm,
The service
mhm.
that she does, the organizational skills that she brings to this game. She is, just amazing. Um, Mario, he's an amazing artist.
Yep.
And I'm terrified I'm gonna just leave someone out because we have so many amazing people. It's hard it's hard to leave any. Jen, she is just the way she walked in to the AIBOD and she was able to really get things moving almost the day she walked in
Mhm.
to get things straightened out and to work. And she just is such a hard worker. Kato's, he comes up with so many amazing ideas, and he's able to, just like, I don't know how he gets all of his ideas for his battle games, but they're just, I'm watching, and they're carting around. It looks like a keg, and they've got rocks that they're throwing, and so we have these amazing creative people. Phoebe, she came in organized and hard worker. We have so many hard workers
Mhm.
in our area, and I'm leaving so many people out because you look at the whole park. You have people that run just a random weekday practice that no one from the main park can come, but they pull people in and they get them to check out the swords. And we have people who go to the food trucks and they do demos there, and there are so many people here. I can't even begin to cover all of it. So a long list.
It, you know what? It's a long list, but from an outsider's point of view, it would have been probably the 5 people I would have said too. Uh, I've talked to every single one of them in a multiple different varieties since I started playing, and yeah, that's a great list. Uh, those are going to be great people to be your next tier, your next set of like names in the game. Yeah, I totally
Everyone I
agree with you.
forgot, I'm sorry.
Any complaints, please just file them to the Elrick's house. It's fine.
Yeah, you
they'll
send it to Tristan.
yeah, yeah. She'll get her secretary on that. Um, so we talked about people that you think are up and comers. Dame Anna Blee wants to put you in a different position. Who's someone that you look up to?
Oh, someone I look up to. uh I there So as far as current play, when I used to play, I can I really feel like women in Amtgard in general are definitely showing, much stronger. We've always been, a moving force in Amtgard. The fact that the first queen of the Burning Lands, the first monarch, was a female.
Mhm.
So that makes her the first monarch of Amtgard. The first champion of Amtgard was a female. I look up to both of them. I look up to my knight. She was an amazing artist. She was very politically savvy. I look up to Cassio. She is so organized and so together, and such a good person. There's just so many women in Amtgard that I just think are amazing. There are many men also in Amtgard that are wonderful.
Mhm.
I love seeing women actively involved
Sure.
because it tends to be cyclic, and you have strong people come in and come out, but it's wonderful to see that thread. Dame Anderlane was a big mover and shaker here. So there's so many women when I look back that made me feel welcome,
Mhm.
and that was something that was important for me because I had a difficult time feeling like I could fit in. I was very shy when I was younger. So having that support was important. The guys here were amazingly wonderful too. They always made me feel like I belonged. So it's hard to pick, one. It
Okay.
really is.
Well, that's the best answer that you could get going into this next category, which is knighthood. Here we are, the category you get specifically because of the white belts you wear. Damon and Billy would like to know, what makes a good knight?
I think a good knight is someone who is willing to teach, who's willing to support the people within the club. I think it should be more about passing on the interest rather than self-aggrandizement. So I think anyone who is really looking to enrich the club is a good knight, and everybody does it in their own way, in different ways.
Okay. All right. I told you we were going to bring this question back up. It's here now. Paladin and anti-paladin are officially open to any player that has at least one class with level 6. How do you feel about it?
I wondered why they were interested in the classes, because they're not very good classes. They're kind of unbalanced. They're if you get a whole field of people playing those classes, it's not going to be a great game. I think it's more about wanting the name, which you're playing fantasy. As far as I'm concerned, as long as we keep some of the regalia confined,
Yep.
I don't have a problem with people playing the classes. I would have liked to have seen it come under different names, and you could build the credits within those names until you got knighted, and then you could pick up. So I know there were some names passed around like Marauder and Seneschal. So I've got a bug in the ear over here. I'm getting some answers. But it's one of those things that you have to balance out. I think history is important. I think keeping some of those historical things are important, but you also have to have evolution. So I don't think a lot of people had actually looked at those classes other than the names before they decided they wanted to play, because what they were meant for originally is you had people who had already been playing for years. They had all this experience. They were really good at what they did. Then they got knighted. When I was playing, you had to wait a certain amount of time, and then you could play those classes. The classes themselves, they've morphed over time, but they weren't like a wonder. I think most people wanted Anti-Paladin for the touch of death, and then Paladin didn't really have
the 4 points of armor, I would assume. Yeah,
but you can't like do much with it. And back when I was playing, your lives mattered. There was no unlimited stuff. It's like when you were broken out of the game, you went and sat down at Nirvana and you hung out with all the people on the blankets because you couldn't play the rest of that game. So I think the names are what had the cachet rather than the classes themselves.
Sure. What we're seeing with them open already is that people are already going through and trying to rework them, right? Because currently the other classes, you have someone that you're strong against, and you have someone you're weak against. Paladin and anti-paladin don't fit into that circle. So they have to be reworked. They have to. And people are doing that. They're working on it. They are open. I remember last year sitting in GOTC online, and I reached out to Sir Tristan, and I'm like, I don't want him open, because he has a lot of passion about the things. And you said the same thing about saving some of the tradition. The Phoenix specifically was the part that got me. I was going to vote no if the Phoenix was on the table as something that was going to be taken with the Paladin. My rules rep at that point was like, if that's your stance, it makes sense. There has to be something there for knights. And everyone's like, well, they get that big party where they get all these fun stuff. And it's like, yeah, that one time, and then they're a full-time officer for the rest of the time they play the game.
Yeah.
And
Well, and it's more, one of the sad things that I've noticed is that you can meet people that have no idea how the game started. They
mhm,
have no idea the process, the evolution, why there are so many kingdoms close together. When you look at an organization like the SCA, how they've separated things out, and there's Amgard didn't have that because we grew up together. Someone moved somewhere, started a new group, and we would go hang out with them. And
mhm,
then after a while, they had enough people, so let's make them a kingdom. And then we would have someone who moved over here. And so I moved from the Golden Plains, which when I guess by the time I left, it was a duchy when I moved to the Burning Lands. And so, you had people that I was looking for a teaching job. I went through Texas, meeting my friends, hanging out, going to Amgard events. I'd drop off applications. I went to Dallas, I went to Austin. I drove through El Paso for an event and I dropped off applications. They hired me that day. So I picked up and I moved to El Paso. And I already had a system of support here. I already knew people. So it was that picking up, moving off, and starting a group from scratch that really grew Amgard. And then the traditions of just knowing how clans started, knowing how the warlord thing got started, because we had a player, Morlock, who didn't want to be a knight because knights are supposed to be virtue and the good guy, and he wanted to be the bad guy. So instead of a knight title, he got the warlord, the warlord title. And so knowing that history, I think even seeing how it evolved makes the game richer. But we have so many people that don't know any of that history.
mhm, mhm. Yeah. Well, we got to find a way to do that. I Speaking of history, I submitted a request to the Circle of Monarchs at the GOTC to write down each kingdom's history in hopes that we could preserve that and put it on like ampguard.com, and you could click on each kingdom and read these awesome stories of kingdoms creations, and you're telling these stories of people who are traveling, and oh, I moved and all of a sudden now I've got a park, and that park becomes a duchy and maybe a kingdom some point. These are the things we need to keep going. Even if people don't want to be part of the tradition, there are people that do.
Yeah. Well, and I
So
think the further you get out, people have created their own traditions
mhm,
and their own standard, which is wonderful for theirs. But you should have some idea of why things became important from that center. And so it grew as it went out to other areas, but having that sense of community through that shared history. And it is, because even if you call it something else, even if you wear something different, there is that thread of shared history, and
yeah,
it is important. Like I said, when Tani came to our event, she brought all these documents from like the very first rule book to, and so having those things. Nashomi years ago, he made a CD with our history on it. And so this information's out there,
mhm,
but it just, as you get away, you have players that had just the barest knowledge, or they just heard about it and they started playing and then picked up. So you lose some history, but it's just
right.
like the time you lose history and everything.
Right. And this gives an opportunity to every kingdom, though, to have an arts and science competition where you could have multiple entries for the same thing.
Mhm.
Multiple people could have wrote your story, and you could choose a first place and submit that and award someone for the art of putting the history back together.
Yeah.
But also, your kingdom is representing the entirety of Amtgard International, or the international game of Amtgard.
And it's
Um,
like Ivar, he is the one who moved us on to a digital world.
mhm,
So that information's been lost. He's the one who had the ampguard.com. He's the one who really, I can remember when he first created the online stuff, and there was a game, and you would walk in and you'd have to type in "walk through the door." There's a window. Look through the window. And
Mhm.
this was AmpGuard too, but that's been lost. I remember the dancing orc that he created for one of the AmpGuard pages, and it was just, like I said, amazing history with these amazing people. And over time, it evolves because it's being lost. You get different takes on things.
Mhm. Mhm. I uh I agree. I like that. I'm gonna get back on my box, and also for the Kingdom Histories, reviewing it every year and adding to it and continuing to grow it. So because there are new traditions that are being made, right?
Yes.
But those shouldn't be thus the history. Those should be part of the history.
Yeah.
But not about me. I've taken too much of your time with mine. Uh, you had an opinion about paladin and anti-paladin. Which one of the two are you?
I've actually put in for both,
Okay.
just kind of depending on how I'm feeling at the time. So I tend to be more paladin than anti-paladin.
Okay.
So, but I have made favors for both.
All right. Uh, this question has two answers we're looking for here. What belt of your three, I told you this was coming up as well, what one of the three of them means the most to you, and which one was the hardest to obtain?
Well, like I said, it took me 8 or 9 years. And I think, I want to say my first belt was the serpent belt. And then I got the flame. And then 17 years later, I got the crown.
Mhm.
But like I said, the serpent means a lot to me because of the work, but that's really more about the work I did for me.
Mhm.
The flame belt meant a lot. It was given to me during a clan. I was autocrating with some other people, and that one, it it was a thank you, and it was very appreciated that they thought enough to give me that belt.
Mhm.
The crown one took me by surprise too, because, but I, like I said, I think the service ones mean the most
Mhm.
because it's about what you're doing for others in your group.
Mhm. Okay. Um, what in your opinion has changed about knighthood since you were first belted?
I think, oh, this probably is not going to be a popular answer. I think knighthood is too difficult to attain now.
Mhm.
I think that there are arbitrary, I know the ladder system was meant to create more of a standardize, but
Mhm.
I think it kind of highlights it's even more arbitrary, where who's getting it. There are people that I honestly believe should have already been knighted based on, things that they've already done. But it's so hard to get to that pinnacle now,
Mhm.
to get that I can say I have seen people knighted that had very, very few awards, but were so amazing at what they did that it was, just done. They were knighted. I've seen battlefield knightings. I've seen knightings occur during competitions because the people are so amazing. And I think we've gone away from that spontaneity because now everything has to go through a check and balance,
Mhm.
you know other people's, so I think that's a loss for us in some ways, because I think one thing that I find so weird, because it wasn't like when I was playing,
Mhm.
the belt line importance, that I think it's neat, but it's so, because I never took a squire. until just recently when it came back. I would teach people, we would have fun, but I always thought it should be a personal connection where you feel like you have something to offer that person that you're taking as a squire. So I always thought one belt, one squire, and that is not the way it is now.
No.
So it's a different world, and it's
Mhm.
a world that I'm learning about constantly. But it's definitely like I'm out of time in some instances. Like I'm still, struggling to keep up.
Yeah.
I don't actually know if I answered your question, but we did a little circular jog there.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I mean, going around, take a lap. It's not a big deal. But you did mention not taking a squire, which leads to the last question before the most intense questions in KOK. We typically call them the funny questions. Tell us about your belt line.
So it is, if you're going just straight vertically, my knight was Dame Gwen. And then I have a squire, um, Eris. Most people call her Nurse Thax. Eris has run the med tent at clan, every clan that I've been back for. She takes care of people like she's, this angel of mercy. If someone's hurting, she'll give up her sleep. Basically, she gives up her vacation time to take care of everyone, making sure they have water, making sure when they get hurt, she's there. And I felt like she wasn't getting the recognition that she really needs. So she was my first squire, my first and only squire I've taken. I have squire sisters. So many of them no longer playing the game because it's been a long time. But really, when you look at it, that's it.
Okay.
That is my belt line, because my knight was not a squire. She was never a squire. And then I was only a squire for, I think, 6 months before I was knighted. And so it's very, very small.
It's nice. Typically when a knight comes on KOK and mentions a smaller line, I have to start asking, like, is this your promotion of looking for applicants and whatnot? Because we can send this to every kingdom if we need to. Feel like Dame Cat's looking for more squires, figure it out.
I honestly believe that it's about, compatibility, so you can be friends. It's not about a power difference, which I see a lot but it's about being able to share your past knowledge, share your passions. And so, I've had great friends in Amtgard, but like I said, this was the first squire, and it felt odd asking someone to fill that, because she's already so accomplished in and of herself. It was more about getting her name out there, getting her seen a little bit more, because I think when at least nowadays you don't get seen as much.
Yeah, that makes sense. That absolutely makes sense. On that note, we've completed all of the easiest questions you'll ever get on KOK.
Okay.
Here comes the hard ones.
Yeah, because if you're expecting funny from me, we're probably not going to get very
well,
far.
It's okay. Listen, I'll provide all the humor. You give all the straight answers, and I'll make the chuckles over here. It'll be fantastic. We'll be a great 1-2 combo.
Okay.
Dakota would like to know, how do you look the same as you did when she was 15? You have a multiple choice answer here. Is it A, great genetics? Is it B, amazing diet and exercise routine? Is it C, her youthful appearance is fueled by hopes and dreams of students? Is it D, she is a vampire? or is it E, all of the above?
Well, I will say, since I had to do parking lot duty yesterday and basically went up in flames, we'll go with a vampire because that would be cool. But I don't look the same at all. I think she has a faulty memory.
Mhm.
It's that youth, and your memory just kind of fades. But I love that she thinks I do.
Well, it's studies have shown if you're around someone long enough and you build that relationship with them and you see them over time, you always see them as the person that you remember them as and not anything else, right? So obviously Dakota is seeing you as, and come on, what are you, 25? Jeez, stop it.
Oh, I think I love you.
You hear that, Tristan? She loves me. um, Still, I would like to know what's the coolest dog you've ever met?
The coolest dog I've ever met was our dog Buddy. And he would follow me from place to place, and he would sit on my feet. And he absolutely broke my heart when he went across the Rainbow Bridge.
Oh,
Um, I just, I, it was, it was one of those trips. I had Morgana, and we went to the dog pound because we were just looking. We were just looking. Um, Rob had really needed a dog because Rob is a dog person. I'm kind of
mhm.
a cat person. And so Morgana was in diapers, and she's toddling around, and she sits down in a rainy puddle and sticks her hands in and grabs his ears and is loving on this little puppy. And he had a red tag. So it wasn't a possibility to wait or think about it. So he came home with us and was with us for
12 years.
12 years. 12
Wow.
years. And so I still haven't been able to bring myself to open that again. So the
Oh,
most amazing dog ever. He was just he was shaped like a basset hound, but he was black like a lab. He had a lab face, the basset hound tail, and that bark. That so, so sorry. Absolutely loved him. Pure love.
okay. All right. That's a great answer. I did this on purpose about where this question is live, but I'm not going to make the joke again. Um, Tristan would like to know, Sir Tristan of the Burning
Oh
Lands,
God. I
uh,
told him not to put any.
what is it like being married to such a wonderful person?
It is a difficult thing to live up to.
That's the most political answer that you could have given. I appreciate that. All right. Well,
I,
moving
I
on.
will I will say that he has the inability to sit and do nothing. He
Mhm.
cannot sit still. He has to be doing something all the time, like making chainmail while he's watching a movie, so he's not watching the movie, or playing a video game while he's watching a movie, so he's not.
Gotcha.
So he's a wonderful pain.
That's an honorary title that you should be very proud of. Yes. Okay. So Stillhat would like to know what's the best kind of dragon?
The best kind of dragon is any dragon that I get to keep.
Oh, all right. Okay. All
I
right.
I have a overflowing collection of stuffed dragons. I have a immense collection of little knickknack dragons. I have dragons from Japan when I went to visit Japan, from Korea. I have dragons from all over the world. I absolutely love dragons. So you pick a dragon and it's the best one. I love them.
Okay. Well, we're gonna pick a dragon here. We're gonna pick you. How did a dragon marry a lion?
Because he wouldn't take no for an answer.
Well,
It was a lot of badgering.
oh, wow, I just put that out there for all right, all
But
right.
he was wonderful, and he makes me laugh, and we have been friends for. I knew Rob for God, 15 years before we started dating. So no, couldn't have been that long, or maybe it was that long. At least 10. So we'll go on the lighter side. So we knew each other for a long time. We just kind of clicked, and so he's a great guy. So he didn't have to badger too much. I just wasn't too sure about the whole marriage thing. So
I don't know if anyone in Burning looking for a unique title to give Sir Tristan, but Sir Tristan the Badger.
actually, I like the one that they've already given him, Greymane.
I like that.
I like
do.
that,
Yeah.
because it is really gray.
I hope he's having fun with us poking at him a little bit
Actually,
here.
we have a rescue cat in the backyard that we've slowly been feeding her and getting her to come in. So he knew he was making me kind of nervous. So he went out to play with the cat.
Okay. Well, I'm sure he'll watch this. Everyone watches KOK,
Oh,
right? So the next question is your favorite fictional knight.
My favorite fictional knight.
Uh-huh.
Oh, why can't you actually ask me my favorite fictional dragon?
What's your favorite fictional dragon?
Favorite fictional dragon would be from any of the Anne McCaffrey Dragon Riders of Pern.
Okay.
I read them when I was 10, long time ago. And they opened my imagination. I absolutely loved it. Actually, my favorite knight would be from Tamora Pierce's Lady Knight. It's I don't even know if it's like a popular read or anything, but I picked it up and read it, and I love the development that she did of the young girl from being a squire to being a knight to all of her trials and tribulations. So that would be probably my absolute favorite knight, but I had to think about it. So we did the segue to the dragon. But I love to read. I love to read.
Yeah, I'm willing to ask additional questions to give you some time to think about it. That's fine, not a problem. Zachary would like to know, what's the best fictional or non-fictional sword name?
Oh, I love Excalibur. That's kind of a rote. I love Sting from The Lord of the Rings. I just think that's a cool. Needle's really cool. So yeah, I think it's cool to have that embodiment in a story. It makes it so rich. And so yeah. So any of those, I know those are pretty standard. I was trying to think from Mercedes Lackey. She had the story of Carowin, and Need is her name. So I loved those stories. So if you haven't read them, check them out.
Also, if you're looking for a way to start getting into RP, naming your first sword, that's a really
have a sword. Now I do have some on the wall.
Yeah.
But since I really don't fight anymore, I guess I can just carry one, but that would be more for looks. So
I'm just saying that Burning Lands, Dame Cat doesn't have a sword. Also doesn't have a sword with a name. I'm not saying you guys have to do it, but if you don't, someone from Dragonspine's going to, and it's gonna make you look bad. Okay, I'm gonna give you an option again. This should be a pretty easy option for you, given what you've said so far. You can either tell me your favorite book, or you can tell me your favorite Magic the Gathering color combo.
Oh, I have a favorite Gathering card.
Oh, okay.
Mirror Universe. I used to love that one because I would hold it till I was down to my last life, and I'd play Mirror Universe and I'd piss everyone off. But and asking for your favorite book is like asking about your favorite child. How can you pick? There are just so many amazing books out there, and I couldn't even start. Thousands and thousands. We could go forever. But yeah, I used to love playing Magic the Gathering. We would go over to Aramithos's and Gwen's house,
Mhm.
and we'd have these huge games, and it would just be, it was so much fun. And so for Christmas one year, I made stained glass boxes for people to put their Magic cards in. And
Nice.
so I played green and white a lot. I like the healing stuff. So, you
Mhm,
know,
mhm.
anything. It was just fun. Now I've been so many expansions out of it. It would be a completely new experience now. So, although I still have my old cards somewhere.
Yeah. Also, if I was coming down to the Burning Lands and you happened to say that you would be interested in playing Magic the Gathering, I would show up in my finest garb with my most persona and then ask you to go play a card game with me. That
Well, you would
sounds
have to teach me the rules all over again because
that's
it's
fine.
been a long time. We used to, there was a teacher that I worked with, and one year we had to teach in the library. And so in our off time, we'd play Magic, and the kids would play Magic in my classroom. And
Mhm.
so it was just, I loved the game. It was
That's
great.
that's awesome. That's so good to hear. I love that. All right. Uh, I'm going to ask you your favorite color, and then we're going to do a bunch of either or questions. So,
Oh,
what's your favorite color?
green,
Okay. So, if you had to pick between green and gold, which one would it be?
green.
Okay. Is Kodiak more of a
Oh, well,
Jedi?
are we talking like real gold? Or are we talking just the color gold?
I
Because we're going
oh
real
man.
gold. I love the shiny. So you got to be like really
I
specific there.
well, I tend to leave these questions as vague as possible to leave it up to your
Oh,
imagination,
okay.
but
Well, color green, jewelry gold. Because
got
green
it.
jewelry, yeah, it leaves a ring.
Yeah, got it. Is Kodiak more of a Jedi or a Sith?
Kodiak. I would say you are probably more of a Jedi.
Oh. um, okay. Amcard's making a live action movie, and we have to cast Dame Cat. Who is playing you?
Um, Juliet Moore.
Okay. All right. I I, I was thinking Julia Roberts, but Moore makes sense as well. That's I'm in that realm. It's the hair. It's the hair. Yeah, it's the hair. Okay, so when your character is coming on screen, what is the theme song?
A theme song.
Yeah.
Um, uh, how about the Pink Panther?
Okay. All right. I like where this movie is going. Uh, uh, so you're in a different world now. Everyone has superpowers. What's your superpowers?
Oh, I would love to fly.
Okay. Okay. Still would like to know your favorite conspiracy of all time and your favorite Amcard conspiracy.
My favorite conspiracy. Uh, I'm not a big conspiracy person. I find some of them fascinating, like what happened in Roswell kind of thing.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I love those kind of stories, but I don't think I could pick a favorite one. I find
Okay.
them interesting how people's minds work to create some of these situations.
Sure.
But an Amp conspiracy, I think I'm kind of out of the loop on a lot of those.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, I'm probably out of the loop for the Amp ones
Okay. All right.
because
Not a problem. Not a
yeah.
problem. Lady Lightning would like to know, would you rather adopt 100 duck-sized horses or one horse-sized duck?
Well, let's see. I think the horse-sized duck would be easier to clean up after.
Okay.
So, although 100 duck-sized horses, that'd be like puppies. That might be a lot of fun.
Mm.
So if we're going with the practical, we'll go with the 1. But if we're going for the puppy pile, let's go for 100.
Okay. All right. For the puppy pile, then, Stillhat would like to ask a question that's similar to Lightning's. If you could fight, would you rather fight a duck-sized horse or a horse-sized duck?
Smaller is better in that case.
Okay.
I might have a chance of actually landing a shot.
All right. Dame Cat, big question here. Are birds real?
Are birds real?
Yes.
If you can see it and you can touch it and you can observe it, then it can be real. So I'll go with the scientific. So there may have been something in there that I'm not familiar with, but yes, birds are
Okay.
real.
All right. Cassie would like to know, how much walking is too much walking?
Probably anything over 25,000 steps.
Okay. Over 25,000 steps. Not a hard goal to hit it at any means. We're teachers, right? Like, that's all we do is walk.
She's making fun of, I walk 3 miles a night, but I tend to walk at school a lot too. So
Yeah.
I missed my walk to hang out with everyone.
Hey, Kodiak's important. People miss stuff for him. I like that. Sir Nikolai, New Burning Lands Night, would like to know, what are you drinking?
The same thing I'm always drinking, Diet Dr. Pepper.
Hey, there you go. Let's see. Morgan would like to know, how do you put up with Tristan and his obsession with sushi?
We go to a lot of different sushi restaurants.
That's the best answer. Sushi is one of the best.
Yeah, and the difficult part is he's never met a stranger. So he has long conversations with the chef. Now, we always get really cool stuff, but yeah. So we go to lots of different sushi restaurants.
I'll tell you what, though, as a new Amcard player, walking up and having Tristan greet you, because like Sir Randall introduced me, of course, but like getting introduced and then just becoming part of this conversation, like, you know, oh yeah, I know you. What, you've been playing for 2 weeks? Fantastic. Let's talk as if we're best friends. And it's like, I'm so happy for this. Yes, this is what I want.
And he's
also,
got great stories.
Yeah, of course he does. Of course he does. Okay, so we got a couple more either ors for you. Apple juice or orange juice?
Apple.
Okay. A hot dog. Is it a sandwich or a taco?
It is both.
Okay, so I ask this question typically when people answer like that. If the hot dog bun breaks, is it still both?
Well, if the hot dog bun breaks, just like if the taco shell breaks, you still had a taco, but now you have the fun of cleaning up everything.
Ah, okay.
So,
all right. So this is the broom argument, right? Like, how much of a broom gets replaced before it's not the same broom?
exactly.
You know, interesting. This is deep thought on KOK.
With tacos, you have an additional tortilla underneath it, and you just get a second taco.
Oh, see now you're big brain in here and putting another taco shell into it, and people aren't thinking about second taco shells. All right, they're trapped with the one taco shell, but not you. Ice cream or custard?
I like ice cream.
Okay. How much is too much to spend on breakfast?
Anything over $6. I'm not a big breakfast person.
Okay. All right. That's a very low number, but okay.
Breakfast burritos are the king of El Paso. You can get a $3 breakfast burrito anywhere.
That's true. It's true. Favorite addition to a bowl of yogurt?
Yogurt, I like to add granola.
Yes. Sir Smiley would like to know, waffles or pancakes?
Ooh, waffles, because you get all the little cups to put the syrup and butter in.
There you go. Morgan would like to know, is oatmeal a soup?
It depends on how liquidy you make it.
Okay, it's a qualifier, but okay. Stillhat would like to know, what's your favorite food?
My favorite food is anything spicy. I absolutely adore green chili. I love going and getting spicy Cajun food, so spicy for the win.
Okay. All right. Um, Apparently, there's a question about marshmallows. Have you taught anyone how to make marshmallows recently?
Oh, this must be a former student. um, I, not since I left the classroom, but that is a lab that I used every year of my career, and it was so much fun because they never knew what they were going to make, and just seeing the surprise, especially when I got to give them marshmallows at the end. So that had to have been a student.
All right. Last four questions. Morgan has all of them. Prepare yourself. Morgan would like to know, what is the square root of a bowl of oatmeal?
The square root of a bowl of oatmeal
Mhm.
would be a swallow.
A swallow. Okay.
European. It would have to be European.
You're a European swallow. Got it. Morgan, look into that. Um, can you, with as much detail as possible, explain the color of the letter F smell?
Kind of like when you walk up to a um, area that has had traffic and rain and creosote bushes
Okay.
that smell all together.
Okay. All right. If you could meet anyone in history, who would it be and why? Is it Freddie Mercury?
Oh, I would love to meet Freddie Mercury. He was just so amazing in his drive and his tenacity to get what he wanted. But I think if I could get a chance to meet anyone at all, I'd really like to go like meet Marie Curie, and just her curiosity and the the scientific discoveries that she had within that short time that
Mhm.
she had. I find her very interesting.
Okay. All right. Last question. Let me get my breath. If it takes a chicken and a half, a day and a half to lay an egg and a half, how long would it take a grasshopper with a wooden leg to kick the seed out of a dill pickle?
2 days.
2 days. Morgan, I did that without looking back at the screen. I'm getting so good at that question. Dame Cat, thank you so much for coming on today. If you could just bear with me through some announcements, we'll say our goodbyes.
Okay.
All right. Dragon Spine, this coming weekend is our mid-reign. We're going to be in Mesa, which is Scorpion's Peak. The Queen has put out some regulations for you to go. So please look at the Kingdom page to get that information and reach out to either her or the GMR Morgan to get further information. There will be a vaccination card, either picture or physical copy needed there. Any member of the Kingdom Monarch team will be able to review that for you to make sure that you can attend. Thank you in advance for everyone who's going to go. Let's see. Coffer team for Dragonspine. GOTC is over. I'm going to meet up with the Queen. I'll be sending out a message to the people who have volunteered to work on the Coffer committee, and we will start having our meetups either whenever we can get a scheduled time for that. According to what I saw, it doesn't look like there's any lawyer fees anymore, so maybe the numbers we'll need are much smaller. Dame Cat, do you have anything for the Burning Lands?
I would love to say hi, everybody, and I'm looking forward to seeing you all again soon. I don't have any announcements for anything because I'm not in office right now. So someone else can make those announcements.
Okay. All right. Well, then I will announce what happened at the game as a whole then before we say our goodbyes. Paladin and Anti-Paladin are obviously opened. We have a fifth belt that is coming into play, the Battlefield Knight. Orders of the Warriors were reduced. So it takes 3 Orders of the Warrior at the highest level. I'm sorry, it takes 3 kingdom level wins or higher to receive a 10th order. Everything has been reduced moving down to that point. There is some discussions that the monarchs are still going to be having, so keep an eye out for further changes. Paladin and anti-paladin being open. To play the class, you will need to wear a black or white dragon on your hip, similar to what a knight would wear for their phoenix. If you are trying to get that changed, go to Manama and tell him to remove the monster sashes and the reeve sashes and give them to paladin and anti-paladin so that we don't get any confusion between people playing paladin and anti-paladin and people who are knighted. Sir Tristan, you've decided to join us. Fantastic. One of my favorite people. Oh, he's so good.
Hey, Kodiak. Yeah, the whole paladin anti-paladin thing. I had to come in. Yeah, it's great. It's great. I love it.
Yeah, I remember a certain conversation we had last GOTC between you and I where it wasn't a fun. It is what it is at this point.
Exactly.
Let's protect the history of it though.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, I still want, leave me my white phoenix and don't make me wear a sash, please. I've never worn a sash except for my monk sash. So
No,
yeah.
reef sash.
But oh yeah, reef sash. But things evolve. You're right. I welcomed and voted for all of the changes to the warrior stuff. I really wish that we could have voted the battle master knighthood into the sword belt because that's where it belongs.
This is not.
But anyway, bye.
Bye, Sir Tristan. It's a KOK first. We had multiple nights on at once. It's fantastic. That was going to remind me of something, and Dame Cat, I forgot it. So I'm going to say goodbye to you, and thank you so much for coming on KOK.
Well, I have to say thank you very much for making it very painless.
Well, so. It's almost 2 hours. You didn't even think there was anything to talk about, and I almost got you for 2 hours. So,
right. You are amazing and funny, and thank you very much for inviting me.
Not a problem. Anytime. I can't wait to hang out again. And for everyone who's watching, this has been Kingdom of Kodiak, and I'm Kodiak. Goodbye.